just said that. All right, Tone, we're going to move on to the news. We're going to stick with video games, and we're going to talk about your other favorite publisher. Let's talk about fucking
Where's getting the sound bit?
I need to get the sound bit in there. I know. I'm sorry. All right, Tone. So we're going to start with EA. We're going to start with EA. And
wow.
Earlier this week, EA announced that Motive is forming a new team led by Dead Space remake developers to support a single-player and multiplayer objectives for the Battlefield universe.
Wow.
So Motive, who created the fucking well-received and awesome fucking Dead Space remake, and who was also working on the Iron Man game that EA announced a couple years ago, is getting rolled into the Battlefield bullshit. Because EA still doesn't know what the fuck they're doing with Battlefield
anymore. They
just
want their Call of Duty money, bro.
So they're rolling them into it.
Yeah, of course they are.
Earlier this week they announced that.
Christ.
And so,
always.
You know, Motive has also insisted that Iron Man remains a very important priority. Iron Man is still something, and development is going well.
Sounds like white noise, but go on.
But just the other day, Jeff Grubb of Giant Bomb, and I love Jeff Grubb. I think he's very good. He's very honest. He's very blunt. And like, look, I don't think he likes to be classified as an insider, but he does have enough connections within the industry to sometimes release little tidbits here and there. And he was on a podcast discussing this move by Motive and some information he heard about the Dead Space franchise. Let's check this out.
So they were working on it. They were working on Dead Space 2, and they are no longer working on it. It is on the shelf because the first game had lackluster sales, is how it was phrased to me. Does this mean it never happens? I don't know if that's the case, but as it stands right now, they were working on it. It was in the concepting phase, I believe, something like it was still in pre-production, and now that work has been put on the shelf.
All right, so the game, according to Jeff Grubb, was being worked on and has now been shelved in favor of Iron Man and them working to help with the Battlefield franchise going forward. Once that new story broke, EA was quick to reach out, and they said, we don't normally comment on rumors, but there is no validity to this story. So EA came out and said, no, that's not true. Now, what's interesting about that is like Jeff mentioned in that video, he's like, look, the game was in its concept stage, early development, which means, and the truth is, it was never announced. Okay, so EA never said, look, there is going to be another Dead Space game. It was originally just Dead Space remake, and which was fucking awesome. And the fact that it didn't sell well, I mean, it was a top-selling game when it came out in January 2023. It was a top-selling game of that month. But the fact that it didn't sell well makes me wonder, what was EA's expectations for a single-player game? But, I mean, by all accounts, I thought that game was fucking really good. Like, it was a fucking great game. It was a great remake. And EA came out and said there's no validity to the story. So that makes me wonder, like, what part of Jeff's statement were they going after? What part of his statement were they saying wasn't valid? Was it the fact that it was canceled? Or were they just saying, oh, it was never in development?
Right.
You know, so EA is not going to come out there and sit there and be like, oh, yeah, we had it going and we canceled. They just came a very blanket statement, but doesn't really give you any details into it. And again, I like Jeff Grubb. I think he's really good at what he does. But then Jason Schreier, earlier tonight, before we went live, he went on Twitter and said this. Yes, Dead Space is now on ice once again. So that basically confirms the sales weren't there. EA's happy with what... It wasn't there to justify a sequel, but my understanding is based on a couple more things that I read from his article is that it did fine in terms of like what it made, but it didn't justify a sequel. EA's Motive explored ideas for a new entry early last year, but none were greenlit. So that tells me we're not even at concept yet. They're exploring ideas. Nothing was greenlit. Chief hope was for a new game, not even a remake of Dead Space 2. Despite today's rumors, both ideas were explored. He also goes on to say that he has spoke to people within Motive that said, we've been on other projects for over a year now. So not sure what information that Jeff Grubb got. Maybe it was dated. But by all accounts, it sounds like Motive was never, ever truly working on Dead Space 2. But, dude, I do want to know, how was Dead Space considered a failure to EA?
It's
know?
pretty consistent, I feel like, with EA, though.
Unless it's something
Truth
that's
be told.
online that they can sit there and sell you with battle passes
Or microtransaction.
and microtransactions, they're just not interested.
No.
Because that remake was fucking dope, man. It was really good. And I would have loved to have seen them explore. But, man, obviously because Battlefield 2042 has been in such disarray and such kind of a shit show, even though I know it's improved over the last couple of years, like it's gotten better, it's still considered a failure by most accounts. There's not people that just like, no, Battlefield's not where it needs to be.
They need to stop trying to. I mean,
And now they're rolling in all these development studios.
Annuals. That's their problem. They want to keep trying to compete with Call of Duty, and that's never going to happen. So,
Which is weird because a while back, I mean, Battlefield was a pretty good competitor to Call of Duty. Obviously, sales-wise, it wasn't on the same level quite, but I mean, it resonated. People knew Battlefield. It wasn't like Battlefield was like some obscure fucking reference.
No,
I mean,
it wasn't. But after you got out of the PS4 era, or towards the end of the PS4, Xbox One era, it couldn't hold a candle anymore.
I feel like that move with Hardline to a March release and then putting Battlefield 1 up against fucking Titanfall 2. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, no, yeah.
Like, what the fuck are you doing, man?
We all know.
But no, so as of right now, it sounds like Dead Space is on ice. They won't be revisiting this franchise, which is a shame because Dead Space is fucking sweet. It's a great horror game. It's a great survival horror. The remake was really, really well received and was really, really good. But EA's focus is on Battlefield. And that's where this industry is right now. Live service, online all the time, microtransactions, battle passes, all that shit is where the money is. And that's how they're able to sustain themselves. But it is cool to see that they brought motive in for it because clearly they're focusing on a single-player portion of the game still. That's what they brought motive in for, was to focus on a campaign, some kind of story. I'm cool with that. Like I always liked I thought Battlefield 3 was fucking awesome.
Gnarly.
It was a fucking awesome campaign. Like I really liked that one.
Jesus God.
And actually, I thought Hardline had a good campaign.
Yeah.
The multiplayer,
underrated.
Say what you will about it, but the campaign was really good.
Yeah, it was underrated.
But man, can we just get just have Motive make Bad Company 3, please?
That's what they should be doing.
That's what if you want to do fucking campaigns, do fucking Bad Company 3.
Bad Company. That's all you need to fucking do.
Bad Company was fucking sweet. I thought Hardline was good, man. I know it wasn't super well received, and they did that weird thing where they released it in March as opposed to November when they normally release.
They didn't have enough faith in it. That's how you know.
Yeah,
that's.
It was such departure
everything
from all
else,
the other games. It was cops and robbers, so it was kind of like a weird move for them. I thought it was fun,
cool.
but they made enough moves where everyone, Bad Company is GOAT. I agree with that 100%. All right, Tone, moving on to our next bit of news. And I think this is an interesting conversation because you made some good points before. But announced in 2022, Kit Harrington was slated to reprise his Emmy-nominated role as Jon Snow in a Game of Thrones spin-off series, focusing on his character's arc after the events of Game of Thrones.
Continuing forward.
However, in an interview recently with Screen Rant, Harrington delivered some bummer news to everybody, man.
Bummer news.
He came out, bummer news, saying currently the Jon Snow spinoff.
We don't know if this is real or not because he doesn't know anything.
It's true. He doesn't know shit.
That's right.
No, he knows something about this, but currently he said it's off the table because we all couldn't find the right story to tell that we were all excited about enough. So we decided to lay down tools with it for the time being. There may be a time in the future where we return to it, but at this moment, no. It's firmly on the shelf. End quote. Now, at first, I was kind of bummed about this, but at the same time, Tone, I also respect the decision. I mean, that's a hard decision.
Yeah, don't come out putting out a piece of shit. You've already ended the series
Bingo.
with a piece of shit.
Well, but it's also more than that. It takes a lot of restraint. Jon Snow, arguably one of everyone's favorite characters from the Game of Thrones saga. Arguably one of the characters that everyone one of the most loved characters. And you're going to sit there and explore a new story arc for his character going forward? I'd be cool with that because I love Jon Snow. But kudos to Kit Harrington and the creator saying, look, man, if we can't push something out that people are going to enjoy that's not going to do right by fans, we're not going to do it at all.
Well, but we don't know the whole story, though, either, because they might have presented something to HBO, and HBO says, eh.
Either then, kudos to HBO.
Right. Well, and HBO is pretty
Yeah.
they're kind of cutthroat sometimes.
But I
when it comes
mean,
to that.
but also for them not to sit there and push back to HBO going, no, let's put, I mean, kudos to everybody involved there.
yeah.
Don't put out something that fucking sucks or that people are going to be fucking off put
Right,
by.
because I'm pretty sure HBO at this point, when it comes to Game of Thrones, is going to be very selective.
Yeah.
Because they've shelved other things as well too, and there's supposed to be still one more piece of Thrones we're supposed to get, but again, it's time like in the past. And what I said to you today was that it's a good decision for them to do this, I think, overall, anyways,
Yep.
because of the way that last season ended and how like Game of Thrones almost didn't exist,
Right.
because we've got House of Dragons right now, anyways, which is doing well,
Which is well
and
received.
It actually brought people back, even skeptics like myself, who were concerned and worried. Can we really do Game of Thrones again and still make it enjoyable and relevant? We found out we could if you do it in the right timeline, but we're staying away from that era and timeline, and that's probably the best thing for them to do is to just lay that to rest. Like,
let it go.
Yep, I like Jon Snow.
I thought Jon Snow was an awesome character.
Yep, I like Kit Harrington, and I just don't know what story they could have told, because the wall was fucking broken. So what? We're just gonna watch them and Tormund fucking pick up ice blocks all fucking day.
I mean,
because the White Walkers already attacked and they're gone.
I'd watch a Tormund spinoff. You want to give me a Tormund spinoff?
Sure, yeah, for sure, absolutely. I can get down on that. But that's my point. Like, I think there's a few reasons why it's just good to move on from that. I think HBO is probably going to think about that a lot too, because then like, how do you like have a Kit Harrington show but never show any other characters, or do they somehow want to bring in other characters? Well, do those people really want to be tied back again with that, because they pretend like it doesn't exist either at this point? You know what I mean? So,
no, like I said, man, I mean, say what you will about the final season of Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones as a whole was still one of the best like TV series I've ever seen in my entire life.
It was a phenom.
Yeah, it was a phenom. I mean, it was seriously one of the rare shows that was just like, I could watch this seasons 1 through 8 or 1 through 7, all over again. And Jon Snow was a fucking awesome character. But like, again, it's a bummer that it's not happening. But at the same time, kudos again to HBO and the people who were going to make this and said, look, man, if we can't come up with something that people are going to like, fuck it.
Yeah, fuck it.
Let's not do it. Let's just let it go. That takes a lot, man, because they could have easily just said, nah, fuck it. It's Jon Snow. People will fucking subscribe, and they'll tune in. They'll watch it regardless if it's subpar. That takes a lot of restraint, considering. So, but I think you're right. I think HBO looked at it and said, look, man, we're doing fine with House of Dragon. Has nothing to do with anybody.
Don't fucking
move on with that.
Yeah, don't bring those back up. Yeah.
So, interesting, but yeah, kind of a bummer. I would have liked to have seen it, but if they don't think it's good enough, then fuck it.
Yeah.
All right, Tone, the last bit of news from around the realm. CinemaCon 2024 is going on right now. Monday through Friday this week, there's going to be a ton of shit going on from all these distributors, Lionsgate, Warner Brothers. All of them are having panels. They're having stars from their movies coming out. And a couple of them that stood out to me so far. First of all, Furiosa. They had a panel for that from Warner Brothers. They showed an extended clip. It featured lots of fire, lots of trucks, lots of loud action, what appears to be even more attention to a dystopian desert landscape, even more than Fury Road.
Fucking Tatooine again.
Like it's different. It's different. But the extended clip that they showed generated a shit ton of buzz. Like people were like, "Holy fucking shit,
cool.
This is rad." And we got a little bit more information about Chris Hemsworth's character. Warner Brother co-boss Mike DeLuca called Hemsworth Dementis a lunatic and charismatic, which again I think is awesome because Hemsworth has typically been either Thor or the guy from his movie on Netflix. What's the name of those movies? Extraction. And I don't want to say they're similar characters, him and Thor, but I mean, he's a hero. He's a good guy. He's always been a good guy. Now we get to see him as a fucking psychopath. I think that's appealing because I want to see what else he can do.
He just looks like a dollar store version of Thor.
Right, like a coked out version of Thor.
Yeah.
But Hemsworth said this about why he chose the role. He plays a barker in a nomadic tribe because it comes down to the script initially. The conversation that George Miller and I had, the script definitely informed me as an individual. Twisted. There had to be an element of charisma. So, I mean, he's like really embracing this fucking psychotic character that he's playing. And that, again, that's awesome because it's something that we're not familiar with Hemsworth in that type
Right.
of role.
Cool. Very cool.
He was an awesome. I do remember that motel movie vaguely. I don't remember very. I only saw it one time. It was a very interesting
Blanco.
film. Blanco, thanks for hanging out,
seeing
brother.
you,
We
buddy.
appreciate you. But no, I'm really excited for this movie, man. To hear the audience was really happy with the extended cut they received. Mad Max world premiere is at the Cannes Film Festival on May 15th, and then it drops globally on May 24th.
Cool.
You and I are gonna go see that shit
know it.
because this looks fucking dope. Another bit of information that we got. This is actually a quick story, but they had a panel for Beetlejuice.
Nice.
And they had everybody there except for Jenna Ortega and one other person. But the entire cast was there. And by all accounts, the entire cast is super excited about this project. They are really excited about it. Keaton's already seen most of the film. There's still some things they got to work on. But, dude, Michael came out and just said this to the audience. I can tell you this, though. It's really fucking good. He hopped on a mic. The last cast was great. This cast is so good. Everyone's so friggin' funny. Really, it's true. It's fucking great.
Good.
So to have him come out there and be genuinely excited, you know, I mean, you can always tell when somebody is like just kind of like going through the motions, PR stuff, but when they're genuinely excited, man, like really hyped for this.
That's great.
And they
That's
had a
great.
huge panel. There's a lot of good stuff. You can't watch the actual panel. You have to be there, but there are some write-ups out there. I genuinely encourage you to go check them out. They're very awesome to read, to hear like Catherine O'Hara and all these other people there are just really excited about this movie. That's really great to hear. This last bit of news from CinemaCon, Tone, that I'm a little uneasy about. Again, I love Blumhouse. I think they're a growing horror distributor. I think they've got a lot of good stuff underneath their belt.
Absolutely.
But they announced today that they'll be working with Lionsgate in a multi-picture deal with Blumhouse, reimagining horror classics from the Lionsgate library, including the Blair Witch Project. We are rebooting, not a sequel, not a remake, rebooting Blair Witch Project. I don't know about this time.
Right.
We've seen now look, Blair Witch was a huge hit, made $248 million at the box office. It spawned 2 fucking goofy ass sequels. But I mean, look, there was something there. Jason Blum had this to say: "I'm a huge admirer of the Blair Witch Project, which brought the idea of found footage horror to the mainstream audience and became a true cultural phenomenon.
So make more found footage.
I don't think there would have been a Paranormal Activity had there not first been a Blair Witch, so this feels like a truly special opportunity, and I'm excited to see where it leads." Bloom will team with producer Roy Lee on the new Blair Witch. Lee previously actually produced the 2016 Blair Witch. I don't know if you remember that.
No.
There was a 2016 Blair Witch,
Okay.
and it did not review well. It had a 38% on Rotten Tomato, an even lower score with the audience. But it did make $45 million on a $5 million budget. So there is something there to think to themselves, we can make some money on this. But, dude, I don't know. I feel like Blair Witch Project was lightning in a bottle.
It really was. But you know what ruined that lightning in the bottle was when the actors came out to like
Yes.
MTV Music Awards and like
remember
before
this.
the movie even dropped out, I believe, and everybody was
Fake!
I was one of those ones. I was on the internet at the time on my dial-up going like, is this shit real? Oh, there's real, because there was websites. You remember that shit?
Yeah, I
There
do
was
remember.
all kinds of crazy shit.
Yep.
Like people were looking this
They
up.
marketed that thing brilliantly.
Huge. It was great. It had me hooked too. And I don't even fucking usually believe in that shit. And I was like, what the fuck's going on? And they come out like, da, 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 da. I'm like, what the fuck?
They
And it
played
still
it.
made
They
$248 million. Yeah.
played it fucking brilliantly.
Yeah, and they still come out. And honestly, I like some found footage stuff like the VHS fucking movies. Those
Yeah.
are gnarly.
Yes.
Those are gnarly, but like,
I feel like when it comes to something like Blair Witch Project, like, look, man, like I said, the sequel was fucking terrible. The second one, the Witches or whatever it was, that was fucking garbage. This 2016 one came and went, and it was a fucking fart in the wind. But the thing that made the first Blair Witch was, first of all, everyone thought it was real. Second of all, it was super unique compared to the horror that we had seen up until that point. I don't think you can reboot Blair Witch and have it be the cultural phenomenon it was back then, because back then everyone thought it was real.
yeah, I don't know who had that on their bingo card for 2024 or rebooting some fucking Blair Witch, but nobody's like, listen,
Yeah.
there's plenty of found footage things that you can do and still make it something that people are going to be interested in. This, I don't know if this is going to be it.
Look, man. Like I said, I love what Blumhouse has done. I think they've got an eye for, and they have a pretty good.
Yeah,
You know,
they've done some awesome shit.
Yeah, they got to feel the pulse of the industry, and they know what people like to see. I just don't think Blair Witch has the appeal that it did. It was lightning in the bottle at the time.
Mm-hmm.
The sequel showed that it was a fucking just terrible idea.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 2016, I don't know if that's a fucking reboot or what it was. That wasn't well received by critics or fans. I just feel like that first one, which I thought was terrifying, man, that movie was fucking scary. But that was a once in a lifetime thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was a product of great marketing
Mm-hmm.
and keeping things under wraps and not having people walk on stage of the Music Awards or whatever it was.
MTV.
It's just it was one of the things where I just don't think. I mean, come on. I think there's other franchises you could reboot.
I mean, here we are again. We're once again talking about
Rebooting.
franchises being remade, rebooted, all that shit. You know what I mean? Like,
Unnecessary.
yeah. Sometimes, I mean,
Let us know your thoughts, though. I mean, if you were a fan of the first, or if you're one of the fucking 10 people that enjoyed the sequel and the reboot, or I don't know what the 2016 one was.
I don't think anybody is. The live chat here isn't really too interested at all. It seems like
Yeah, they're not
if
too
you're out
thrilled
there,
about
yeah, Spotify, YouTube.
Let us know what
we wanna
if
know
you're
your
excited
thoughts.
about them revisiting Blair Witch. I feel like most of the people listening to this are gonna be like, "What the fuck is Blair Witch?"
Yeah, he's got the fucking Blair Witch sticks on his back tattooed. It's really gnarly, but he's not even. A fan.
I don't know about that one, man. I just like I said, I just feel like that's a franchise that we're good. I do remember the game. I think that was that Bloober Team? I think Bloober Team did the game. Anyone who likes found footage should watch the movie Creep. Oh, Creep is fucking awesome. Have you ever seen Creep?
I don't think so.
Dude, Britt, Creep has I can't remember the guy's name. He was from the show. He was on The League on FX. He was one of the guys on The League, and his name escapes me. If somebody could look it up, Britt, if you could look it up, or Cuddles, he was in The League. The first Creep, the second Creep was decent. The first Creep movie, he's a fucking psycho, dude. Like there are some unsettling scenes in Creep that's really, really good. It's an effective movie. The second one was okay, but the first one was fucking awesome. I loved Creep. That's a really good. Mark Duplass. There you go. Thank you, Mark Duplass. Like I said, he was on The League, and he's done mostly comedy, but in Creep,
Okay.
he's fucking weird, man. Like it's creepy.
Okay.
So
Well, there it
definitely
is.
worth a look. Check it out.
There it is.
Good call, Britt. I